Oh my goodness, I think we finally got it. Here's hoping. Okay, just waiting on Myrna to let me know whether or not we finally have a success. Because this morning has been terrible in terms of technology. um, oh man, now I'm so nervous waiting for some kind of confirmation here. I apologize if you can hear Saxon being restless in the background. He is doing his thing. Oh man. This is a bit of a different view for my desk. I had to do something a little bit different today in terms of setting things up. Because the armature that I bought for my camera isn't doing exactly what I needed to do. So hopefully this isn't too disorienting. I think it's a little high, but we'll play with it. We'll see if we like it. If we do, great. If we don't, no good. And Myrna just confirmed, okay, I can relax a little bit now. Yay. So hi all. I'm here. This morning was terrible for tech. I still am not sure what's going on with my poor microphone, so I guess I get to play with that some more once the stream is done. I am going to be working on some map monsters today. I have a couple that need to be developed for a map that's upcoming, so I figured I would work on that. And yeah, just hanging out. So I am here. You are also here. And I guess even if you're not, I hope you're having a good day whenever you do encounter this. So yeah, let's try and get over all of the stress and get back doing something that actually works out okay. That light is way too bright to be there right now. There we go. It's a little bit better. Oh, guys, technology is going to kill me today. That's just how it's going to be. All right, so map monsters. How do we deal with this? Typically, when I am looking at map monsters, I am trying to come up with something that is referencing the real world so that it's not completely alien to the people that are looking at it. But I also want something that's just a bit more fantastic that you wouldn't encounter necessarily. In the history of map monsters, they were used to designate places that either hadn't been explored or basically to represent knowledge that people didn't have ready access to. That whole "here be dragons" thing is very much a part of this. So there are map monsters that are taken from the real world. I've seen maps that have like squirrels on them just swimming and hanging out in the ocean. I don't necessarily want to go that route, but it is really interesting to draw from real world plants and animals and kind of make them more fantastical for the purposes of creating map monsters. So I have a couple of books that I was going through this morning just to kind of look at things and see what I thought of them. So I'll do a couple quick flip throughs here. And then I found a picture of some lichen that I'm particularly enjoying this morning that I think I'm going to base my first one off of. So this book is by National Geographic. It's called Realms of the Sea. I found it at a garage sale a million years ago. And when was it published? 1991, so it's pretty old now. But what it gives you is a look at the different biomes that exist for various oceans. So it goes through tropical oceans, it goes through Arctic oceans, and just gives you like a write-up about what those biomes look like, what kind of creatures live there, that kind of thing. And so what I loved about this book is it gave me a really great set of photographs, which National Geographic is quite famous for, that I can then play with. So for example, this guy is a walrus, I think, lion seal, elephant seal. There we go. Read the caption. And he's got a really great face. Like that could be a really fun monster to work from. And you kind of start with that and then start adding things. So maybe let's start with him just for a warm up. So I'm going to move that off to the side. And one of the things I like for a map monster is for it to have the whole body. So I'm just going to give it kind of a shape here in the back and then Just start kind of following the contours of what's on the page. And you don't have to be super precise when you're creating a matte monster. Um, Part of that fantastical element is exaggeration. So just kind of playing with it, seeing what you come up with in terms of the shapes and how it all kind of comes together. And you want to pay attention to how things may work in the real world a little bit in terms of like, does my mouth actually look like it might fit together if this creature closes its face? Um, but beyond that, you don't have to be super obsessed with like 100% biological accuracy. Many of the older fashioned matte monsters have that hardcore surreality about them. And that's one of the things that I kind of want to evoke when I'm doing this kind of thing. So the things that I think are interesting on this creature is the nose, which I've got going on up here, and it has this interesting kind of bulbous shape on it that then kind of morphs into the cheeks, and it's got this kind of almost a cheerful little grin going on this side. And then that tissue kind of swoops down and joins with the side of the mouth. So one of the ways that I want to represent that this is a mouth when I'm dealing later will be with the color. So I just want to kind of rough in for myself that these are the darker areas, and the rest of that is a little bit lighter. And then over here we've got whiskers. So just give myself that texture to kind of work with, remind myself later. Maybe draw a few in. And he's got a really interesting almond-shaped eye. And the pupil is very, very large. So I want to kind of pay attention to that. And then he's got this kind of curious eyebrow ridge. And upon further inspection, his nose is a little bit more of an interesting shape on this side. So we can do that. And then the rest of him is kind of a vague sort of lump, which works well for our purposes, because if we want to add water to this, we can bring the tail maybe farther up just for some exaggeration. And he's going to have a bit of a fin on the back here. And then we can add our water however we want to. One of the things that I like to try to do with my maps when I'm dealing with water. Oh, hey, how's it going, Brian? Sorry, just looked up. Connor was on a roll. I'm good. I'm a little overtired. I'm happy that I have coffee. I need to draw map monsters today, so I'm working on that. How are you? How's it been going over there? Coffee, 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 coffee. Also tired, also drinking coffee. Solidarity, brother. Solidarity. You had a good day, though? Things were okay? Gone on any good walks lately? Oh, fabulous. Are you going to post a picture of that to Instagram so I can see? Awesome. Use some pretty great stuff in your backyard, though, if you're having to go farther afield than that. The leaves are finally almost all in here, which is such a relief. Um, it was 22 Celsius here yesterday, which was amazing. So we played D&D in the gazebo last night, and it was incredible. Other than the mosquitoes, which of course, now that it's warm out, are out in full force. So last night was also the first use of bug spray for the season, which is fine. That's a thing that happens, especially in Canada. Oh man, the lilacs beside my house are finally coming out too, which is really exciting. So I'm a huge fan of that. It was the May long weekend last weekend, and traditionally, that's generally when we start feeling like we don't have to fear the snow anymore. So I'm hoping that that remains the case. I would like to not have to fear the snow. That would be great. No, I did not need to face the gazebo alone. Do you play the game Munchkin, Brian, the card game? I always laugh because in that game, there's like a level 2 or a level 5 gazebo, and so that you have to fight as a monster, and that kind of amuses me to no end. Awesome. I was hoping that was the reference you were going for. That makes me very happy. I love drawing squids and cuttlefish. I don't know if that is at all obvious to anybody else. They make me extremely happy. You got your bump out over here. How's the sound today? Because this is not my good mic. This is the default mic. Because I wasn't able to get my good mic up and running this morning for some odd reason. I felt that it was more important to actually get online and host the stream than it was to stress about the tech. Because otherwise, I don't host the stream, and then I don't meet my goals of hosting streams and working on my whole talking in human space goals. Okay, cool. That's super exciting. Thank you, Myrna. Octopodes are the best, you guys. I love them. They are so cool. Awesome. Thank you. So we encountered a deck of many things in my game last night, which was not at all where I thought the game was going. So that was intense. My one character did very, very well with it, and my other character inherited a devil that is now following them around trying to kill them. So that did not quite go as well as hoped. But it will make the storytelling a lot more interesting for the next little while. So looking forward to that part, I guess. Bloop. Drawing things based on fish is weird for me. Probably because I don't spend a lot of time drawing fish specifically. I have a lot more experience drawing like kelp and other plant life from the ocean. And, cephalopods. Because they're awesome. This fish looks a lot more like a frog. But that's okay. Because it doesn't need to look perfect. It just needs to be a sea monster. Give it some gills, maybe. That'll help. I kind of like the idea of like a crowd of sea monsters in the sea. Like they're hanging out and having a convention kind of thing. Popping their heads up to say hello. Seahorses are always kind of classic. MonsterCon. Galapagos 2019. I feel like that would make an excellent t-shirt that no one would understand. Oh, man. I'd love to make con shirts for cons that don't exist. I think that would be highly amusing. Unless you're proposing that we go start cons. At which point, if we're gonna do an ocean con, don't we also have to consider the kaiju? Hi, Saxon. Yes, I'm doing the stream. It's okay. Hi, buddy. Please do not knock my books off my desk. Thank you. We've had a friend's 10-year-old daughter and their dog here at the house all week. And that's been an interesting endeavor. I'm not a parent. I have actively chosen to not be a parent. So secondhand parenting is a little bit strange for me. And Saxon is not totally sure what he thinks of having another dog in the house full time, which I can't really blame. Buddy, stop. That's not okay right now. You have to wait. I am working. Yes, I know. I tried closing him out of the room for a little while yesterday, and he just about beat down my door. I was like, we're never going to get past this, are we? I love you, dog. Oh, I missed it, Brian. Consider a what now? Oh, kaiju. So like Godzilla and various other deep ocean monsters that exist in Japanese fictional action monster movie worlds. This seahorse looks way more like a cartoon than I was anticipating. It's fun though. I enjoy it. His face is completely out of all proportion, but what are you gonna do? We'll go with that. I think one of the great things about drawing ocean things is that humans as a whole, we know so little about our oceans that it just means that you have a lot more scope, especially if you're working with like deep water fish and stuff, to see some things that are truly fantastic and very bizarre that other people are probably less familiar with. And so there's little elements that you can draw from that will make things appear more alien. For example, we're used to really round pupils. So as soon as you start adding alternatively shaped pupils, like a goat's pupil or an octopus pupil or this sideways kind of pupil, it changes things. And people go, wait, I don't really know that. Like it's familiar enough that I recognize there's eyes, but it's not a pupil shape. And that's just enough to create that kind of uncanny element that you kind of want for a matte monster. Yeah. Oh man, anything that is living on a chem vent just blows my mind. Did you see that there are sharks living in the oh man, coronas? I forget what the word is now of underwater volcanoes? Like coolest thing ever. I was blown away. I thought it was legit too hot for anything like that to live there. And they were like, "Yeah, no, sharks." I got so excited. So, so, so excited. Yeah, go look it up. It's awesome. There's video somewhere. There's also video from Japan from I think last year, but it might honestly be the year before now, of a live giant squid swimming. And I didn't realize this until that video. Giant squid, when they're alive, are actually like silver and gold. They're not red. Apparently, the red is an oxidization that happens after they die and come to the surface. I had no idea. Sharks are badasses. They are totally awesome. I wish that there were more occasions for me to like see them. I felt really weird about seeing the ones that were in captivity at the Baltimore Aquarium because it's an aquarium and like although I have a love-hate relationship with that kind of thing where I'm like I love that I can see these animals that I would never get to see at zoos and stuff in any other context, but I hate that we're dealing with captivity and stuff because that's not an ideal health state for them. But oh man, the Baltimore Aquarium is gorgeous. I would go back there in a heartbeat. They had I think it's called a sawtooth shark, the kind that has like the long fin on the front of their head that has all the teeth coming out like this. It looks like the blade of a chainsaw. And it's such an improbable creature. Like, I just had absolutely no idea why you would end up with a mouth like that. Like, okay, that's new and exciting, and I don't quite understand. But it was really neat to see. And it was like just chilling out on the bottom, watching things go by. They had like a racing circle for sharks so that the sharks could keep swimming perpetually without hitting walls. That was pretty neat. A megalodon tooth. That must have been enormous. Oh yeah, megalodons were a thing. For sure, for sure. Yeah, no kidding. I feel like that's why the weirdest stuff was hidden in the ocean because it was maybe like, this isn't going to be believable to anybody else. We'll just put it away. Out of sight, out of mind. Embarrassed supreme being. You gotta know something works, right? A little bit embarrassing anyway. So what you're telling me is you have an ocean of unusual art in your drawer? I kind of love the metaphor of that. Like that is just a really fun way to think about it, don't you think? All right, you funny eel creature. Give me a map monster. Hey, Laura. I'm glad you're here to listen to us ramble. I hope that that is okay for you. Okay, so I just want to point out that this guy is in fact alive, but he looks like he is 100% fictional. Hang on, I'll show you the picture. This guy, look at him. He is basically a cartoon just by himself. Which is why I love the oceans. They're so random and wonderful. Yeah, hang on. Let me look at him. The Harlequin moray eel. Apparently it is very shy, and it only attacks when it is threatened or hungry. It is called the tiger eel by the Japanese. And the inside of its mouth is just as stripy as the outside of its mouth. This is one of its trademark features. Yeah, when you think about that, having a stripy on the inside mouth is rather interesting. I wonder why that's a thing. You do only attack when tired or hungry. That's good to know. I will come with keto-friendly chocolate every time I show up. I feel like that would be an awesome thing to just kind of have randomly on a business card. Like, here's my card. I too only attack when I am tired and hungry. There's something so much more menacing about actual teeth. Like, they just look more like they're gonna hurt things. So now I'm trying to figure out if there should be another tendril off his face or if that's coming off his nose. We're just gonna say it's coming off of his nose. I feel like that's a better option. This one's kind of got a heart on its face. Some kind of heart-like patches. It's pretty fun. So one of the other places I really like to get inspiration, other than just the ocean, is insects. So this is one of my favorite photographers, Thomas Morent. He has put out a series of books. There's a butterfly one, a rainforest one on frogs, and he just does beautiful photographic documentary work. This rainforest one just makes me want to travel everywhere and do everything. I highly recommend Googling him if you get a chance and just checking out his work because it is wonderful. I'll put a link to his name in the doobly-doo. I love looking at insects because, again, as people who go through our day-to-day lives, we're really not familiar too much with insects that are going on around us. Usually only the ones that we regard as pests or as particularly beautiful or charismatic. Hi, Paulo. I'm glad you could join us. So yeah, by using things that are, again, less known to us in our day-to-day, such as insects, you can create really interesting creatures that you don't have to do too much invention for to just come up with something that's going to look off and alien to other people. How was your day today, Paulo? And part of why I like doing this is it lets me kind of go, oh, I like this about this creature, so I'll use that when I'm coming up with my own creatures. So I'm working off of an image of a grasshopper here, and I really dig this kind of armor-plated crest he's got going on the back of his head. So that's something that I'll definitely pull from later. Oh, nice! You got a day off then. That's exciting. And we had an extra day off on Monday of this week, so that was pretty cool. Another great thing about grasshoppers is they have the antenna coming off the front of their head, so you can kind of play with different horn formations and think about how you might want to leverage that to your advantage. Oh, I hope I'm not triggering any issues for you with them. You can focus on the fish side of the page. Is it just because of the way they move, Paulo? Like, is it creepy, or did you have a bad experience with them? I think one of the reasons I like the grasshoppers for this also is the way that their plate system is kind of reminds me of lobsters. which kind of harkens back to that whole underwater thing again. A phobia. That's a bummer. I'm sorry. I'm not terribly fond of heights. I get uncomfortable, especially if it's on like an iron grating floor or some kind of clear floor. I get the most uncomfortable in those situations. Do not care for them. Hi, Joanne. Hey, I'm excited that you're here. Is this the first time that you've popped on to the stream? That's important, Paulo. Good job. Yes, Squiddos. I'm happy you could join us. That makes me quite delighted. The suspension bridge in Drumheller? No, I don't think so, Myrna. Where was that? Is that at the Tyrell? Words are hard. It's acceptable. Well, I'm pleased you are either out of bed or laying in bed and listening to us because you're here, and that's exciting. Trying to find a time that works for everyone is difficult because if I start any earlier here, it's a problem for me. If it's later, it doesn't work for other people. It's a dilemma. It's out of townish. It crosses the river. Oh, I would like to actually go see that then, Myrna. I haven't ever had an experience on a suspension bridge that I can think of. I've been on some like really narrow wooden bridges, but like that's pretty sturdy still. Interesting. Yeah, I'm up for a road trip. I'm gonna have all kinds of time once Dave's gone. Although what really sucks is I don't think I can get into the Royal Tyrrell without him. I think that it has to be him. I'm gonna call them and find out because I think if I get my CAF one card, I get all of the military discounts still, even without him being present. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Getting free entry to museums and stuff is one of those things that is an unexpected benefit to him doing this whole deal. I like museums. I get what you mean about girding your loins to do a chore, though. Once this is done, I have to go tackle my kitchen. I just do not want to. It must be done, however. I also need to populate an armory for D&D. Because I get to run my last in-person game for Charles and Lisa before Charles goes home tomorrow morning. So that will be nice. I really like running it when both of my players are physically present. That is cool, and I dig it. It's a shame that it will be for so little time. Oh, I'm looking at a picture, Joe. I have not yet memorized the apparatus of a grasshopper. He's blue, though. I can show you the picture. He's very pretty. Isn't he gorgeous? I love blue things in the wild just because it's very unusual on land. They make me happy. I wish that I had the capacity to kind of just freestyle it when I'm doing studies like this. But I find that I need to draw the real thing a handful of times in a couple different ways before I can start riffing on it, just coming up with my own stuff. I did a series of drawings. Oh my goodness, this is before we even left Regina. That was mashups of different creatures, so just trying to figure out how they'd fit together. So I did one that was like a bat and a rat merged together that was pretty cute. I enjoyed that. Just playing with things to kind of see like how you'd fit them together and what they would do. And yeah, that was fun. Yeah, the body is kind of short, hey? And I find the like taily bits really interesting as a shape. I'm not totally sure the why of that, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm also really fascinated by just how their feet articulate. I had never really paid attention to it until I got this book and started seeing the details of how that overlaid, because I just never bothered to pay attention to it before. So that's really neat. And like just the tiny little hairs on the abdomen and then on the legs and stuff. I'm glad that other people take epic pictures so that I can study them. So like this might be fun if we turned it into something kind of tadpole-like, maybe. Give it some shell protrusions that maybe come down this way. Sort of tadpole come shrimp, maybe? I do have the Botany for Artists book, actually. It's right here on my desk. I can show people this book. Is this the one you're thinking of, Myrna? The Botany one, Paulo? It's so good. It's absolutely lovely. Sarah Simblett does incredible drawings, and she contextualizes things really beautifully, like breaks it down into kind of general shapes. And as you go through, she's giving you exercises to teach you how to go through and do this. And I love her use of line. She's just super, super incredible. And I don't know, like, if you guys had them. There's a line of books for kids called, I think it's Discovery Knowledge. They have the giant DK on the inside, and they always have like encyclopedic kind of layouts like this of things that you can learn about. And this just gives me like all of those old school, I'm a kid in my school library vibes, but grown up. Oh, Myrna, I'll bring this in the next time I come in then if you haven't seen it, because it's just one of the most beautiful books. I absolutely love it. Do not regret buying it at all. It's one of those things that just blows my mind. DK books are totally the best. Yeah, Apollo, you're totally right. Like they are just wonderful. They're so easy to love. And like there's for fantasy world building purposes, like these are mushrooms. These are tiny things that people don't really look at very well. And like wouldn't that make great terrain for a shattered earth area? Like absolutely great terrain. And then wouldn't this make awesome fungus in the Underdark? This could be a really cool version of a shambling mound. Like I'm thinking in D&D terms because I was playing D&D last night, but like even this would make a lot of fun for some kind of alternative beholder. Like just put your giant eyeball in here and give it kind of tendrils as eye stalks that are floating towards the bottom. There's lots of ways that you can change it up. This was the piece of lichen that I was thinking about drawing from today. I just love the shape of it. And it's all the different little holes and nodules of the lichen. But when I turned it this way, it seemed to me like it would be a really, really cool water dragon. Like this is the eye, the brow ridge, the nose, and you come into this giant mouth. And then it's got kind of the gills and the fins. Just a really neat body shape coming into an explosion of fins, kind of like a beta on the back. It's just cool. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Which game is that, Joanne? Totally get a copy, Myrna. It's worth it. You won't regret it. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. Yeah, do it. It's great. Oh, World of Warcraft. Yes. I think you sent me a picture of the fungal forest once. And then what if we added like little sort of spiky bits coming up off the center line of this carapace here? Give that a little bit of textural interest. Oh, really? That's interesting to know, Apollo. Yeah, the hard copy's worth it. Just saying. Totally worth it. I'm wondering about maybe picking up a video game to play while Dave is gone. Just because it might help me be social in a way that doesn't actually involve traveling or leaving my house. Because I don't know how that's going to be this winter. The Black Anatomy book. Is that the one that I told you about that has the gold on the inside? What games do I like? I like Heroes of Might and Magic, specifically Heroes of Might and Magic 3. That one's my favorite. I can play it forever. I have seen that because I know you got it. Thank you, Paulo. For a tabletop like RPG game on Xbox. Interesting. I'll have to have a look for that then. I've started playing Conan Exiles on Dave's PS4. I like that one a surprising amount, actually. I've tried playing Diablo, and I find that it's just really dungeon crawly, and after a while, it just feels like the same thing all the time. Heroes I like because there's exploration and combat, and it just kinda I love discovering maps, I think, is a huge part of it too, which I guess isn't that surprising. Um, so there's that. Um, I don't mind doing repetitive things as long as I know I'm getting somewhere. I love Mario. I love, like, cute games like that. The Blob, which I have on Wii U, is one of my favorite games ever. It's just cute and countercultural, really fun. I have never played Zelda, which I probably should. It gets talked about a lot. Planescape Torment. No, that one's not familiar to me at all, Brian. I do still have a Wii, but my Wii is not working right now, so I don't know if I need to buy a new one or what. I haven't been able to diagnose the problem. Dave has offered to buy me a Switch before he leaves to go to Latvia, if I want a new gaming platform because it's been quite a few years since I've had one, like a new one. I just don't know that I wanna, like, swap everything over to a new platform again. Like, I feel like environmentally that's wasteful, and I'm trying to reduce my footprint that way. But the Switch seems pretty cool. Elebits? What is Elebits? That sounds really cool, Brian. Do you have a Wii U, Paulo? Is that the system that you're on? Yeah, I saw that you had a bunch of the Labo stuff, Myrna. Does Max really like it? I might have talked Dave into getting me an Oculus Rift when he gets back. So that would be exciting. Yeah, send me a game trailer. What's a Vita, Paulo? I don't know that one. I liked the Planescape D&D setting, Brian. That sounds actually very appealing to me. And I love story. Like I'm a super story heavy person. They are my favoriteest things ever. There was a really interesting um just lost my train of thought watching the chat, sorry. Oh, okay. I haven't heard the name yet, but that's cool if it's the next one that's coming out. Handheld Sony. Okay, that makes sense. I have to say, like, that was an unexpected, surprisingly nice thing about the Wii U was having that handheld screen because I play a lot in the living room, which is where Dave's whole setup is. Like, if you've been in my house, the living room is kind of his space. So it's got the big TV, it's got all of our gaming stuff, it's got his computer and the 3D printers and all of that stuff. And my office is upstairs. And so if we're just hanging out, we're kind of in his space. And he plays a lot of video games. So typically the TV is in use because he's playing something. So having the Wii U, I could hang out with him and I could play and I could be on my own machine and we weren't in competition for the TV. And I liked that part. That was nice for me. So I'm not adverse to another handheld system at all, but like he's not going to be here for a year, so I can use the TV as much as I want. It's smart to buy them secondhand, I think. I think that might be what I do is I might go and get another one just that's been used because they're cheaper, and if you get one from a shop that for sure tests their stuff, then they're still fine. There's no reason not to. I'm kinda digging this little shrimpy tadpole thing, guys. This is a nice came out of nowhere kinda deal. I'm wondering if I'm gonna spend a lot of time this next year working on my book and stuff because I won't feel bad for neglecting Dave if I'm lost writing for hours and hours on end. Not that I feel too bad now because he knows that I'm doing something that I love, but still, you should try to spend time with your partner. I've seen Splatoon. I've never played it though. I've just seen like the case for the thing. I love the Blob though. Like the Blob is probably one of my favorite games that I've played in the last 5 years. Just makes me so happy. I found it for the PS4 actually. The other Blob 2 the other day when we were at the Walmart. And that made me really happy because my Wii is not working. So I can still play it just on the PlayStation when Dave's not using it. How do people feel about this whole um move to like download digital content over having discs of your games? Because I'm super curious about this. Like, I I think it's cool that you don't have to have a ton of stuff cluttering up your house. But then, like, what if your server goes away or you stop using that platform or whatever? Then you don't have the stuff with you, or you even just don't have internet access. Like, it could be as simple as that. I feel like having the discs is maybe a little bit better, but I don't know if I'm being terribly archaic in my thought process. Okay, so apparently this is the thing with Eric. Yeah, that's fair. We don't have super reliable internet where I am, so it's pretty good, but it's not 100%. Yeah, planned obsolescence is a huge thing, and I don't like it. Like, from an environmental perspective especially, it really drives me because what if I just want this one thing and I don't need it to upgrade and I'm happy with it? What do you mean it's just gonna stop working? That bothers me. I think that's part of why, like, I'm still so analog when it comes to my art because, like, a pencil is never gonna stop getting an update. It is fine. Um, but, like, if I go to a Cintiq or something, which I'm considering, then I've got the risks of that becoming an obsolete piece of machinery, and, like, that's an expensive piece of machinery. So, to have it become obsolete would be a bit disappointing. I mean, it's inevitable, but it's also disappointing. You did I think you did spell it correct. Good job. Yeah, like a Wacom for sure. Yeah, travel would be nice. Like, that's a thing for sure. I mean, probably more a thing for you guys because you're traveling with Max, hey? Like, I do a lot of my gaming at home. I can't see, like, taking it camping or anything like that. Camping is for reading books. But maybe I'm just saying that because I haven't had the experience of being able to go play video games in the woods. I mean, that could be fun too, right? Nature does randomization so much better than I do. Just putting that out there. Failing of the human brain. We like patterns way too much. That's legit. That is completely legit. Yeah, I can see that, especially if you guys are planning on doing a lot of driving. Also, I find, like, because I have games on my phone, that can be a good way to de-stress if I'm feeling kinda overwhelmed in a public situation. Just go hide in a corner or a bathroom for 10 minutes and kinda play a couple rounds on my word game and be like, "Okay, I'm good now." So, I wonder, like, I don't know how Max stresses if he stresses at all even when he travels, but that could be a good solution. Hey, man, zombie mode is totally okay in my opinion. I think we all need to do it once in a while. Also, Myrna, this is the pencil that twists the lead every time I click down on the thing. It is awesome. I still love it. Kurutoga, that is it. Which sounds like a kaiju to me. I expect it to erupt out of the ocean off the coast of Japan and fight Godzilla. So I'm wondering if we don't make this thing quite that long. Maybe we do this. Treat it more like a little shrimp. I don't know, maybe. I need to think about this a little bit more, I think. I saw the trailer for it, yes. What makes it look terrible to you? I haven't seen any of the new Godzilla movies, so I have no frame of reference for it. The entire thing. You're so discerning in your criticism. I think I need some pictures of shrimp legs so I can figure out. I love how when you type shrimp into Google, you just get cooked shrimp. All right, there we go. This is what I am after. Too sharp. This way. There we go. There are a number of little feeler things going on with the shrimp. I did not realize that until right now. They kind of have like peculiar little mustaches. I got a spacing issue in here somewhere. Like in the length of my joints. It's probably a Fibonacci issue. Giant Monster Passion. That's from a person who would watch Pacific Rim all day, every day. I did not know you liked that movie that much. I thought it was interesting, but the human storytelling really fell off. Like, I was hoping for more images of like the other kaiju operators because they were of interest to me. Sometimes it's very satisfying to watch a particular kind of bad movie. I can agree with that. Although then we have to agree what a bad movie is. So my friend Nicole absolutely cannot stand Monty Python or The Princess Bride. We learned this the other day. And I happen to love Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of Monty Python stand-up stuff, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail has a fond place in my heart. And I do adore The Princess Bride because it is like the lampooning of all of those tropes. And yep, Nicole is a hard pass for both of those. She also doesn't like raisins, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I can be friends with you. Which, of course, I'm joking. I love her. She's amazing. Life of Brian is so good. Yes, for sure, for sure. Princess Bride makes you uncomfortable, Myrna? What about it makes you uncomfortable? I love that you can identify that, and now I'm curious. So please, if you're willing to, tell me more. That was pretty perfectly timed, Brian. I have to be honest. Sorry, Myrna. I'm not actually laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation. But you're not somebody who really quotes stuff in real life. Like, I don't know that I've ever noticed you doing that. So maybe that's a thing? I don't know. Guys, this tail is a problem. Totally goofed it up somewhere. That will have to be fixed in some future iteration. That's fair about the eye contact thing. I struggle with that. Yeah, I have a hard time with accents that aren't good accents. I'm trying to read We Free Men to Caitlin before bed right now, and the Knack McFeeble are written with a really, really heavy sort of Scottish brogue, and, I am no good at that accent, but you have to kind of read it that way because that's how it's written. And she's in love with it and thinks I'm doing the best job in the world. And I'm like, I'm glad you think so because I am not convinced. Oh, to be 10 and impressed with everything again. Um, I was gonna say something and now it's gone. Oh, the characters seem so shifty. I have a hard time with secondhand embarrassment in television. So shows like The New Girl, um, with Zoe Deschanel, like, it's a cute show, and I think it's well written, and I think it's well acted, and I enjoy it, but I spend a lot of time watching it through my fingers because I'm just profoundly uncomfortable with the embarrassment that is going on screen. It just, like, drives me a little bit, more than a little bit. I've actually asked Dave to, like, we can only watch 1 episode right now because I know I'm going to be, like, uncomfortable at the end. I don't think I've ever watched more than 3 in a row. So, Peep Show. What's that about? Yeah, painful is it's hard, like, sometimes it's super interesting and you can connect with characters through stuff like that because it also usually involves vulnerability, but, like, oh man, sometimes I just get so uncomfortable. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I've never watched it, but I've heard a lot of people say good things about it. A good example for me is also Gallivant, if you guys have ever seen it. I think it's on Netflix, at least here right now. I love it. I think it's an amazing show, but man, it can be difficult for me to watch sometimes. Somehow filmed in first person. Brian, that sounds fascinating. I might have to try it just to see what you're talking about. Yeah, I agree with you, Joanne. But I sometimes find British humor to be kind of the same. It's usually a bit more existential, I think, than American humor. I find American humor more personal, but yeah, it just awkward. I don't know. I mean, I like humor as much as the next person, just awkwardness is hard for me. I get talking and then forget that I'm supposed to be drawing. Sorry, friend. Good thing we're here to hang out and not necessarily be productive people, right? I do kind of like this grasshopper shrimp dude. I'm a fan of him. It, her, them. I want to know what the preferred pronouns of a grasshopper shrimp are. Because now I have to think, like, how do these things reproduce? What do they do with their shells and their young and all of that jazz? Which I mean, I guess is just world building taking to some inevitable conclusions. Hmm. You're very welcome, Myrna. I like that you help me make space for this too. I just realized that it's 11 o'clock my time, so we've been here for an hour and a half. So I think I am also going to sign off soon. Pick up your car and a face full of sushi. Damn, that sounds like a good plan. I haven't had sushi in forever because there's no good sushi here. So, sad monkeys. But perhaps I will go make myself a pie. I have an extra thing of pie crust that I need to use up. So, The Duchess recipe makes 3 pie crusts, which is a really, really bizarre amount of pie crust. Like, you need 1 for the bottom and 1 for a woven lattice, and then you have 1 extra just kicking around doing nothing. So, yes, probably pie. That's my plan. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, Myrna. And yes, Joanne, pie. Nom, nom, nom. Paulo, if you're still here, I hope you have a great evening. Brian, thank you for hanging out. Laura, I know you're lurking there somewhere. Take it easy. Carvin's like, yeah, I should go find some freaking cherries and see if I can get on that, hey? That recipe looks so good. But yeah, it's the wrong dough, Brian, but I will let you know when I finally do make it. All right, enjoy, and we will see you guys next week. And yeah, take care until then, you guys. Catch you later. Bye.